Alright, what you see here is a Casablanca Delta 2 ceiling fan. And as you can see, it's in a very rare finish. No, it is not brushed nickel. It is champagne. This was a finish that was offered by Casablanca in the late 90s. I think up until the early 2000s, I'm not 100% sure. I know if the Delta 2, they only offered it up to 1999. That was the last year they sold this finish for the Delta 2. Not too sure about other fans. I know the Self came in this finish. The Panama. Some other fans, I'm not sure. Quite possibly the Lady Delta. That one I'm pretty sure came in this finish as well. But don't quote me on that. This fan I got off of Facebook Marketplace. It came with 5 blades. I showed it with the 5 blades. I figured I'd show it with the 4 blades as well. Especially since you don't see these fans almost ever. And quite frankly, this could be the rarest Casablanca fan in my collection as of right now. Although I do have some other ones that are pretty uncommon, almost rare. I really do feel like this is the most rare one I've gotten in general. But yeah. It is from November 19th, 1997, and it is the 289th fan made that day. Now, with that being said, this fan is an early Hunter Blanca in a sense, as this was 1997 was the year that, I think it was 1996 or 1997, that Hunter bought out Casablanca. And with that being said, this is one uses a threaded down rod. I'll just turn on the light behind me so you can see it better. So, with that being said, this is like right when they started this tape being made by Hunter and such. And it does use an XLP motor, if I'm not a K55. The white and brass one that I got from Mark Wilson a while back, which is exactly actually my first Casablanca I ever got in general. That one was made in 1997 as well. However, I'm not sure if that one uses an XLP or a K55. I know it's a little bit newer than this one, but I know like what they would do back then is instead of this, which they still do nowadays, I know, instead of just tossing out stuff that's not being sold anymore, they're not making no more, they actually just will pair it with models like this. Like for an example, of the Casablanca Next Generation Aria that I got, that was just basically a fan with older parts that weren't being used on future models no more, and they just combined it and made that fan basically. So some of the Delta 2s after they, some of the fans from Casablanca after Hunter bought them out, they still use K55 fans. They just use the remaining ones that they had instead of just tossing them. But yeah, let me go ahead and show it up close. It is very similar to brushed nickel, but you can definitely see this. It's more of a polished nickel in a sense, with a gloss coating over it. I honestly like it better than brushed nickel. That's just me. Especially since brushed nickel can scratch pretty easily. This is definitely one that doesn't scratch so easily. Definitely looks like a color you'd see on a car, if anything. And it does have bleached oak blades, which I really do like on this fan. And if I was to install this in my bedroom, unfortunately, I would not use the bleached oak blades. Well, in this apartment, that is. If I was to get my own place, I'd probably do that if I had like different decorations and such. Only because the maple matches better in that bedroom. But I really do like how this fan looks with the bleached oak blades. Something I really do like about it is that it gives it a dated look from like the late 90s, early 2000s. But it also gives it a modern look in a sense because this is a finish color that is trending nowadays. Like a brushed nickel looking fan with really light oak blades. More so bleached oak, if anything. Like this type of bleached oak, not the cheaper ones that you see from like Home Center, like older Hampton Bays or something. Although Hampton Bay, they do have like a fan that has almost like this type of bleached oak to it on a brushed nickel hugger. And not the Hampton Bay hugger, it's like, I forget what it's called, it's like a 3 white fan. But yeah, here it is with the white. Now they did make the Delta 3 in brushed nickel, but not the Delta 2. Although they're basically the same thing, except for that the Delta 3 is an IntelliTouch fan. And they did make some of them in 3-speed as well. But yeah, it's definitely probably the rarest fan I found in general. For the time being. Obviously, I'll probably find something more rare, hopefully. And it does give off a good amount of lighting. So for that being said, let me go ahead and start off on no speed. Now, I'm not against it with 4 blades. I actually do like how it looks quite a bit. Though I do prefer it with the 5-way configuration. I just figured I'd also just show it with the 4 blades since it can be shown with either or. And it's you don't see these almost ever in this finish, so I figured might as well show it in the 4-way configuration for those who'd want to see it. Fortunately, I don't have a switch cap for it, so I had to show it with the light kit, which I'm happy it came with because it's actually the other main reason why I figured I'd get it. For the finish, and also the fact that it came with a K4B that was still very intact and survived shipping. But yeah, I can get it off of Facebook Marketplace and have it shipped by a non-collector. Surprisingly, this fan survived the shipping. Wasn't packed the best, but it somehow survived. I mean, it wasn't really that far away. It was just the next state over, which is New York. So it's not like it was that. It wasn't like it was being shipped from California all the way to Massachusetts and such. Now, one of the blades definitely seems to be out of clock. I did try to put the forward at the most balanced, but still, there's still one blade that kind of makes it out of balance. But there's nothing really I can do about it. I'm not sure. I don't know what conditions this fan was, like where it was installed. Definitely, it was very well taken care of by the previous owner. Or I'm not sure if the person who sold it to me was the original owner or not, but it was definitely taken care of over the years. But yeah, there's a lot of places I could see this back in the late 90s. I could see these like in a clothing store, a hair salon, movie theater, video rental places like Blockbuster or West Coast Video, Gap, Macy's, JCPenney's and such. Like, there's just a ton of places I could see this. Food courts, music stores, like CD stores back, or record stores back in the day, back when they had them in malls and such. There's just so many places I could see this fan back then. I'm also happy that it came with bleached oak blades instead of maple, because I do have a spare set of maple blades that I have for testing fans and such. But I've actually been wanting to get a set of bleached oak blades, standard ones like these, for a while now, so it kind of worked out that these came with this. Plus, it's a combination that I actually really like, so yeah. It also looks more like it was just spray painted gray, in a sense it just was giving like a clear coat from this angle on the camera. It's like a gray coloration that you see on a car. That's like the best way to describe it. Alright, now to move it up to medium. That's literally like the best way to describe it. It's like a grayish coloration that you see on a car. Not silver, but like an actual gray coloration. Thankfully, it's not wobbling on medium that much. Usually, it's always the medium speed I notice fans tend to wobble on the most, or the ones that I've tested down here and such. It's definitely moving a good amount of air on medium. And I do know that these do move a bit more air with 4 blades versus the 5-blade configuration. It really depends on the combination, like the finish combo, light kit combo, and what room I'm putting it in. If I wanted to have a little bit more of a contemporary look by having 5 blades, or if I wanted to have more of a vintage look by having 4 blades. Or like a mid-century vintage, like, for example, like the Casablanca Verzano, it's kind of like a mid-century one. Well, actually, no, that's like more of like a mid-contemporary type one. Like a futuristic vintage in a sense. I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe it. Like, it has a vintage look, but it's also not vintage type feeling. Like, it's modern looking, but it also has like somewhat of a vintage look to it and such, like, of like an antique type thing. It's like that Hampton Bay fan. It's like a 4-bladed one that they have nowadays with the 4-light configuration. It definitely kind of gives it a vintage look to it. Alright, now to move on to high speed. Has a bit of a quirk to it because the ball isn't not properly attached to the down rod. I have it more so sitting against it. That way I can have the light and the tag facing this way. Because if I had it screwed in properly, it would have one spotlight pointing directly at me, which I did not like. Especially with the light on, it just would annoy me after a while. So for testing purposes, I just have it like that. And since I couldn't like loosen the switch housing to kind of be adjusted, I just had to end up doing that instead. But yeah, it's definitely pushing out a great amount of air. It's very impressive. I mean, it is a Casablanca, so it's not a surprise there. It's definitely a powerhouse without a question. It is what you get with showroom quality fans versus the home center one. Light. I am very tempted to install this in my bedroom as this. I feel like it looks so similar to the Panama as it is finish wise and such. I feel like it might not be worth it. Plus, I kind of feel like it'd be better if I installed it in a place that it would be more of a permanent install. Whereas here, it'd be only up for like another 2 years or so. So that's like within the next 2 years, I plan to move out of this apartment and find another place to live. That's just the plan, but it's like, could end up being a little bit longer that I live here. Not that I don't like the place. Just I try to get like a 2-family home or something. That's the game plan that me and my mom have for the next 2 to 3 years. And just rent either the first or second floor or whatever to somebody else. Spin down. Definitely does move a bit more air with the 4-way configuration. And it's usually the case with a lot of fans, but doesn't mean that every 4-way fan is going to move more air than a 5-way fan. It really depends on the fan itself. But it also it's not like a huge difference. In all honesty, I do feel a bit more air with the 4-way configuration on this. See, if I only came with 4 blades, I'd honestly just use it like that. And I actually really do like how it looks with the 4-way configuration. Since this is such a rare finish, I'd rather not leave any of the parts just lying around. I'd rather just have them all together, and that way none of them get damaged or scratched up just from sitting around and such. Honestly, I definitely wouldn't mind having it in my bedroom with 4 blades for some time. Especially on this thing. I really do like how this works with the 4-way configuration. On a Panama, not as much. Well, actually, no, I do like that one, but it's just, I don't know, it's just something with this one that I really like it with the 4-way configuration as well. But since I do have a 5th blade on, I'd rather just use all 5. Now, if I was to use the black one with the spotlight, with like rosewood blades, I wouldn't mind having that with a 4-way configuration versus 5. Which definitely would need to get some rosewood blades to try that one with that gloss black dots too that I have with rosewood blades, because that's definitely a combination I really like. Gloss black dots too with rosewood. And it looks like it's going to wobble a bit more in reverse, so I'm going to try to make it quick. Usually the case of every fan, but since this one's the ball socket's not really setting as probably as it should be, just for testing purposes, I figured I'd try to make it quicker so I don't put so much strain on it. Alright, let me go ahead and shut it off. And yeah, and that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.